The 7 most dangerous Special Forces units to ever exist. Let's start with the Special Forces units that were merely completely unsurvivable to train for, and work our way towards the ones that make every other elite military unit on this planet look like they could use a few more weeks of preparation. Number 7. The French Foreign Legion, 1831. The French Foreign Legion is one of the oldest and most unusual elite military units still active on Earth today. It was founded in 1831 by King Louis Philippe of France with a single defining characteristic that no other military force on the planet shares. It accepts anyone, from any country, with no questions asked about their past. You do not need to be French. You do not need to have a clean record. You do not need to provide your real name. The Legion has historically accepted criminals, fugitives, and men who needed to disappear, provided those men were willing to survive what came next.
What comes next is basic training so demanding that the Legion's dropout rate sits consistently above 50% before candidates even reach advanced selection. Legionnaires march with full combat loads across distances and terrain that most militaries would not attempt in a vehicle. They are expected to function on minimal sleep, minimal food, and maximum physical output for weeks at a time before any formal combat training begins. The Legion has fought in every major French military engagement since 1831. It has an unbroken combat record stretching nearly 200 years. Its soldiers sign a 5-year contract and are legally considered French nationals for the duration of their service. If a legionnaire is wounded in combat on French soil, he can apply for French citizenship on the basis of what the Legion calls French blood spilled in the name of France, which is either a very poetic policy or a very dark recruiting pitch, depending on how you look at it.
Number 6. Russian Spetsnaz, 1950. Spetsnaz is the collective term for Russian Special Operations Forces. The word translates roughly to Forces of Special Designation. It covers multiple units across the Russian military and intelligence apparatus, each with different specializations and different levels of classification. What they share is a selection and training process that has been documented extensively enough by defectors and former operatives to give a clear picture of what it involves. Spetsnaz selection emphasizes psychological conditioning above almost everything else. Physical standards are extreme by any measure. Candidates are expected to perform hundreds of consecutive repetitions of basic exercises, run distances in full kit that Western units would consider a training day, and demonstrate proficiency in hand-to-hand combat from the first week of selection. But the psychological component is what separates Spetsnaz training from its Western equivalents. Candidates are subjected to deliberate stress inoculation, extended periods of sleep deprivation combined with unpredictable and intense psychological pressure, designed not to test whether candidates can complete tasks, but to identify whether they are capable of functioning under conditions designed to make functioning impossible. Former Spetsnaz operatives have described the training as less about building soldiers and more about identifying the specific type of person who does not break. The assumption is that most people break. The selection process exists to find the ones who do not. Russia currently operates Spetsnaz units in every branch of its military and security services. Their operational record includes actions in Afghanistan, Chechnya, Georgia, Ukraine, Syria, and numerous other conflicts, both acknowledged and not.
Number 5. The British SAS, 1941. The Special Air Service was founded in 1941 by Lieutenant David Stirling in North Africa during the Second World War. Stirling's idea was simple, and at the time considered by most of the British military establishment to be completely insane. Instead of sending large, conventional forces to attack German airfields, send a very small group of highly trained men to do the same job more effectively. The first SAS operation destroyed more German aircraft than the Royal Air Force had managed in the same period. The British military establishment revised its opinion of Stirling's idea fairly quickly. The SAS selection course, run in the Brecon Beacons mountain range in Wales, is considered one of the most demanding military selection processes in the world. It has no fixed pass rate. There is no quota of candidates the SAS needs to fill. If no one passes in a given selection cycle, no one passes. The course does not adjust to meet the number of candidates available. Selection involves individual navigation exercises across mountainous terrain in all weather conditions, carrying loads up to 25 kilograms, culminating in a 64-kilometer march known as the Long Drag that must be completed within 20 hours. Candidates who are 1 minute late do not pass. The SAS pioneered the modern doctrine of Special Forces operations that is now used by elite units across the world. Delta Force was directly modeled on the SAS. The Navy SEALs adopted SAS training methodologies. The unit that invented what Special Forces are is still considered by most military analysts to be among the best at it.
Number 4. The United States Navy SEALs, 1962. The Navy SEALs are the most publicly documented Special Forces unit in the world. More books, documentaries, films, and first-hand accounts exist about SEAL training and operations than any other elite military unit in history. None of that documentation makes what they go through easier to understand from the outside. Basic underwater demolition SEAL training, known as BUDS, has a historical attrition rate of approximately 75 to 80%. 3 out of every 4 candidates who begin BUDS do not finish it. The course lasts approximately 24 weeks and includes a section known as Hell Week. You have just entered Hell Week. It is Sunday evening. You have not slept since Thursday. You will not sleep again until Friday. Over the next 5 days, you and the remaining candidates will complete approximately 20 hours of physical training per day in and out of the ocean. The water temperature is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. You will be wet for the majority of the next 120 hours. Instructors will offer you a warm meal, dry clothes, and immediate relief from everything you are currently experiencing if you simply walk over and ring the bell. The bell hangs at the edge of the training area. Ringing it means you are done. It is always there. It is always an option. Most candidates ring it. The ones who do not become SEALs.
Number 3. Israeli Sayeret Matkal, 1957. Sayeret Matkal is the Israeli Defense Forces' premier special reconnaissance and counterterrorism unit. It is also known as Unit 269 and the Unit. It is modeled directly on the British SAS, and its selection process is considered by military analysts to be among the most demanding in the world. What separates Sayeret Matkal from most other elite units on this list is its operational record. In 1972, Sayeret Matkal operatives disguised as airline technicians stormed a hijacked Sabena Airlines aircraft at Tel Aviv's Lod Airport, killing 2 of the 4 hijackers and freeing all 90 passengers aboard. The operation took 90 seconds. In 1976, Israel launched Operation Entebbe, arguably the most audacious hostage rescue operation in military history. Sayeret Matkal operatives flew over 2,500 miles to Uganda, stormed the Entebbe airport terminal where 106 hostages were being held by Palestinian militants backed by Ugandan President Idi Amin, killed all the hijackers and the Ugandan soldiers defending them, freed 102 of the 106 hostages, and flew home. The ground operation lasted 53 minutes. The unit's existence was not officially acknowledged by the Israeli government until 1980, a full 23 years after it was founded. Notable former members include 2 Israeli prime ministers. Ehud Barak and Benjamin Netanyahu both served in Sayeret Matkal. Netanyahu was wounded in action during the 1972 Sabena hijacking rescue.
Number 2. United States Delta Force, 1977. First Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, known as Delta Force, was founded in 1977 by Colonel Charles Beckwith, a U.S. Army officer who had served with the British SAS on exchange and came back convinced that the United States needed a direct equivalent. The United States Army officially denied the existence of Delta Force for years after its founding. Delta Force selection begins with a screening process that most special operations candidates, people who have already completed Ranger School, BUDS, or other elite training, still fail at the first stage. Those who pass the screening enter an assessment phase in the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia, involving a series of individual land navigation exercises with increasing pack weights and decreasing time limits. No one tells candidates how far they need to go or how fast. No one tells them if they are passing or failing.
They are simply given a series of points and told to find them. At the end of the selection course, candidates appear before a board of Delta Force officers who ask them a series of questions. No one is told the outcome of the board interview. Candidates return to their units and wait. Sometime later, those who passed receive a reassignment order. No explanation, no ceremony. Delta Force has conducted operations in Panama, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and numerous other locations, most of which have never been officially acknowledged. The unit operates at a classification level above most of what the U.S. military considers sensitive. When Delta Force is publicly mentioned in connection with an operation, it is almost always years after the fact.
Number 1. Russian Vympel, 1981. Vympel, which translates to pennant, is a Russian special operations unit that was created in 1981 under the KGB and now operates under the FSB, Russia's Federal Security Service. It is distinct from the broader Spetsnaz apparatus and operates at a classification level that makes Delta Force look relatively transparent by comparison. What is known about Vympel comes almost entirely from a small number of defectors and from the unit's known operational history. What that history reveals is a unit designed for one specific purpose, operations so sensitive that their existence cannot be acknowledged under any circumstances. Vympel was originally created to conduct sabotage operations deep inside NATO territory in the event of a nuclear war. Its operatives were trained to infiltrate Western countries, establish cover identities, and wait for years, if necessary, for activation orders that might never come. This required a type of operative that no other unit in the world has historically trained for. Not a soldier, not a spy. Something between the two, capable of functioning in civilian society indefinitely while remaining operationally ready. The training pipeline for Vympel operatives is described by defectors as a minimum of 4 to 5 years of continuous specialized preparation before an operative is considered ready for deployment. This includes language training to native fluency level, cover identity construction, advanced combat and demolitions training, and psychological conditioning so thorough that defectors have described it as a form of identity replacement rather than skills acquisition.
Vympel operatives were involved in the 2002 Moscow theater hostage crisis, the 2004 Beslan school siege response, and numerous other operations that the Russian government has never formally attributed to any specific unit. The current size, structure, and operational status of Vympel is unknown. The Russian government has never confirmed or denied its existence in any official capacity. Everything you just read came from people who left. The ones who stayed have never said a word.